we always wanted to do a podcast or a radio show or something of that nature, but business gets in the way, and you've got,
Tell me about it.
We still have to, we have to sell cars, and we have to consign cars, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything we're doing. But we thought, what a perfect opportunity to put a studio right here in the front of our building. And you know what the cool thing about it is that people are as much impressed with with the fact that we have a studio than they are with the show.
I was the first time I ever walked in this building.
Sure.
That's where my eyes went, to the left and where the studio is,
Isn't that amazing?
because I spent most of my working career in radio and television. So when I see microphones and lights and everything, I immediately am drawn to it. And it is an impressive studio.
Well, we thought that it was something that would be a benefit to us in the long run, but it would also something we just have fun. We get to meet people and talk to people, and clubs like you're involved with. You all had your meeting here last week.
Yeah,
with the
last weekend.
Yeah, the Fiat Club.
Second one here.
Oh, that's right. So that's the cool thing about Classic Automall is we allow car clubs and groups and get-togethers, if you will, car-related, to be here and to be here for free. And listen, does it benefit our business? Of course it does.
Of course it does, and and who would disparage you from benefiting from it? It's a mutual. One hand washes the other.
It's a win-win for us, and it's cool because, it's nice to have people that are like-minded together. Whether you buy a car from us or not, it really doesn't matter. Like we were talking about being on TikTok. That's a younger crowd. It's skewed to a younger crowd. However, the younger crowd has parents that have classic cars, or they have older friends that have classic cars, or same with the busload of senior citizens that come here. They all have nephews and whatever.
Sure.
So you were involved heavily with the Fiat Club of America. You were the founder of that, I guess.
Indeed.
And so tell us about when that started and how that.
I've told this story countless times in the last 4 decades. Oh, boy. I mean, to go back to the real beginnings of it, I had, when I was a young kid,
Right.
All right, it's 16, 17, 18 years old. I had whatever car I could afford. I think I had a Subaru FF1 my first car was an MGB.
Nice.
Robin's Egg Blue MGB. I'll never forget it. I paid $600 for it, blah, blah, blah. Then I went to a Subaru because I needed some practicality. And again, I was in junior college. I was 18, 19 years of age.
What area of the world?
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm a native of northeastern Pennsylvania.
Sure.
A coal cracker, sometimes they...
A what?
Coal cracker, because it's the coal region. You never heard that term before?
I'm from the South. I've never heard anything.
Oh, wait.
I've heard we're fixing to go to dinner. That's all
Anyway,
I've heard.
I was starting to make a little money when I got out of school, and I wanted a BMW 2002 so bad I could taste it. I wanted a burgundy sunroof BMW 2002 back then. I actually found one. I had work to do that day, and at the end of that work day, I went to the this is a weird story. I went to the car dealer. It was a used car dealer out in Scranton, Pennsylvania area. I went to put a deposit on one I had seen the day before. It was the car of my dreams.
Right.
As I was parking the car, I saw another fellow parking his car across the street. 30 seconds ahead of me, he was in that door and put a deposit down on that car that I was going in there to do it. I was heartbroken.
Have to be.
It was a Memorial Day weekend, so I was at my parents' house in Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, and I went on a bicycle ride, and I saw at Chrysler Plymouth dealer this forlorn-looking left front flat tire Fiat X19. I thought, oh, that's a cool car. I think I've seen these before.
Sure.
I was driving a Fiat 128 at the time. I went from a Subaru to a Fiat 128 sedan, which I really loved. So I start crawling over this car, and it was open. The next day, that was Memorial Day weekend. So the Monday or Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend, I went, looked at the car, bought it. I thought, this is so cool, so unusual, so different. And that started it all.
A life-changing moment.
It literally was. And because of that, I started to get super enthusiastic. This is, by the way, before the internet, before emails, before any of what we have now, including podcasts. So I started seeking out people. But how do you do that without emails, internet, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah?
You buy a mailing list, right?
Well, one of the magazines, and I got them all as a kid: Car and Driver,
Sure, me too.
Road and Track, Motor Trend, Hot Rod. I got them all. And they had classified ads in the back, and I saw something, I think it was Road and Track, and Fiat Club of America. Well, so I wrote to it because you couldn't email it. There was no website.
Stamps were a nickel.
Yeah. And the gentleman who ran it, I kid you not, his name was Santo J. Bimbo.
No, it wasn't.
I
dated a girl named.
I have books filled with newsletters published by Santo J. Bimbo. Well, anyway, long story short, it really wasn't much more than a correspondence club, and not a really good one at that. Photocopied on regular paper and sent out,
or mimeographed, as we like to.
Well, I was going to use that term.
See,
but
I didn't want to confuse our listeners.
I wasn't sure you would know that.
Thank you.
Anyway,
for referencing to me to be young.
And after being I said, well, can I write something for the magazine? His newsletter. Well, sure. And I did, and I titled the article "The Fiat Freak." Well, that lasted to me. Well, I was a member till the club dissolved.
Right.
But they didn't do anything. It was strictly a correspondence club. And once a year, they had some big party in Santo J. Bimbo's kitchen, literally, because they could. It was like the laws of incorporation annual meeting or whatever.
Yeah, you have to.
And I said to myself, well, that's nice, but I don't want to read letters. I want to turn wrenches and rub elbows with fellow enthusiasts. So I wrote to him. I'm trying to make this condense this as quickly as I can. So I wrote to him and I said, being motivated like it was, I said, can I have the mailing? Can you give me the names and addresses of the people in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York State, the three contiguous states near northeastern PA, because I knew Oscar Kovaleski, a name with whom you may be familiar, who was just passed away not that long ago, but from Scranton, and he used to run a business that was world famous called Auto World, where they sold slot racing cars and all that stuff.
But lots of stuff from them.
He was a racer in and of himself. In fact, I went to high school with his son. Anyway, so I wrote to Oscar, and he actually took the SCCA double nationals that were held at Pocono once a year, Pocono International Raceway.
Right.
And I said, Oscar, he tried to make it a spectator event by selling tickets and everything. I said, Oscar, can you sell me a bunch of discount tickets, and I'll try to get my a bunch of car people together. They're Fiat Lancia Italian car people. So I did. And a friend of mine named Dwight Barnes lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We met one day. Didn't even know we had to by the way, all this correspondence by snail mail.
Right. So you've never seen anybody in person. Don't know what they look like.
No.
Could be standing next to him at the grocery store.
So I met him, and I said, I'll meet you at the food cart at the Park City Mall in Lancaster, because I was living in York, Pennsylvania by this time. And I said, you want to try to put something together? He said, yeah. We got up there. We talked about it. I said, I can get discount tickets for this, blah, 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 blah. So we did. And I was working for a television station at the time in York, Pennsylvania. And we we met in the construction trailer of there. And out of our own pockets, we bought envelopes, paper, postage stamps. I hijacked the photocopying machine at the television station.
Mimeograph.
And we hand typed, and I got some pictures of cars and cut them out and hand typed, did a layout and photocopied a flyer, if you will, and hand stamped them, licked the stamps. This was before self-adhesive stamps, and sent them out to all these names that Santo J. Bimbo.
Right.
We got 12 people to show up. 12 cars and
how many did you send out?
Probably 13. I mean, because the club wasn't that.
So the ratio was good.
Well, I can't remember that, but the club was just there. But anyway, from that, in July of 1983, was the third weekend in July 1983. From that, I sit here today, almost 40 years of this club being in existence. But, and this is the underscore, 3 months before that event, Fiat announced they were pulling out of North America.
And that would have been 1982.
March of 1983. They said we're taking Lancia. We're leaving North America.
And they left for how many years?
25 exactly.
Wow.
So for this club was actually started. We didn't even call the event the Fiat Freakout that we do now, and that because I was writing my article,
Right,
the Fiat Freak, so the Fiat
yes.
Freakout. And so, just to underscore that, 3 months prior to that, March of '83, they said we're leaving North America, and for a quarter century, they were gone. Despite that, this club has grown and grown and grown and prospered to become the biggest of its kind in North America, if not the world.
Sure.
Our annual Fiat Freakout will celebrate. We're going to Texas this year. I think it's our 40th anniversary. Might be 39th. I've lost track.
I hear you.
But I've been there since day one, and I think, Stewart, if there's a takeaway from this, is that the people were so for real car enthusiasts,
Right.
For real, that they could maintain and exist for 4 decades
Without a manufacturer.
without 25 years of which there was no manufacturer, yet it grew and grew and grew and grew. And see, that's putting where, if you will, the cliche, putting money where your mouth is.
Sure.
These people were real enthusiasts. You couldn't buy one if you wanted one, no factory support, but we kept our cars going and growing and establishing incredible personal relationships.
Does Fiat recognize the club now, and do they, or are they, is that beyond the scope of what?
No, very much so. In fact, very much so. When they returned, well, they didn't all those years.
Right.
Those
Well,
25
sure.
years when they were gone.
Yeah, that's a long way across the pond to look at.
Although God knows we tried to get them.
Sure you did, of course.
And they knew of our existence, but that was the end of it. When Fiat returned to North America in 2012, and we could do a whole show just on what that has been like. You know, it's been fabulous and then not so good.
Yeah.
But they actually, yes, they recognized us very, very much. The CEO at the time, the first one, came to our annual Fiat Freakout. In fact, when the Fiat 500 was introduced in the U.S., that night at our awards banquet, she offered the first batch of 500s exclusively to the club.
That's a fantastic story, which we will continue with when we return with Bobb Rayner, our Fiat Club aficionado freak, if you will, and car show enthusiast and car enthusiasts all together. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
It's back, or they were back after 25-year absence.
Technically, they are back, but they're a smattering, and that may change yet again.
Well, you never know. I mean, somebody may scoop them up.
Actually, the now CEO of Stellantis, are you familiar with that? That Fiat Chrysler Automobiles was changed hands or reorganized yet again, and now it's Stellantis.
Well, that makes sense.
Stellantis makes Dodge, Chrysler.
Gotcha.
You know.
Oh yeah. That's the company
Stellantis.
That's that. Yeah, I never even thought about that.
He has publicly stated in interviews that do not count the Fiat brand out yet.
And you drive a later model Fiat, don't you? You just drove one up today. Didn't
Yes,
you?
I did.
The
a 500 Abarth, and I've had two.
Right.
And I told you during the break, I have not been without a Fiat vehicle, at least one.
Right.
For over 4 decades, and sometimes 5 or 6 at one time I've had.
Bless
on
your
my
heart,
property,
as my grandmother used to say. They can be tricky because of parts availability.
Never had a problem
with
with that my entire life.
No kidding.
Never once. But I will tell you that's because of our wonderful club. When you
got a
get
great
people
network.
who are rubbing elbows with each other and says, "Oh, I have that screw," or "I have that linkage," or something like that. So I've never had it, and plus I have enough expertise that I honestly can't say I've ever had a Fiat in a garage. I do all my own work.
Do your own work. But is there a part source for those? I mean,
plenty.
So that's good.
We have a number of club members who import cars, who are car breakers, if you will. That part out cars and everything. I have never, in those 40 years, even with Fiat not being here, ever had a problem with getting a piece.
Isn't that amazing? And yet there's some things that are unobtainium that are on more cars that they made more of. It's funny how certain networks like Saab and Fiat and some of these more kind of obscure type brands, if you will, especially in the U.S., they still have a great network. And because there was limited production and a limited amount of cars made, they tend to be closer knit.
That's true, but I'll just interject this sidebar here. That's true in the United States. In Philadelphia, in Europe,
Philadelphia's not the United.
in Europe,
Questionable.
you have to understand that is true.
Sure.
In Europe, it's like Chevrolet.
Right.
You know,
I mean, yeah.
You know,
Fiat's huge,
at times they were neck and neck or close to Toyota and General Motors as the world's largest automobile manufacturer.
Sure.
I mean, this is not I mean, they have factories in South America, in Eastern Europe and everything. It was only in the U.S. where the importation of the cars was limited, but
Everywhere else it was huge. Yeah.
all over the place.
Well, like Renault. I mean, you don't see,
Same
thing,
yeah,
same type of thing
same,
is that
same.
you don't see them hardly here at all. However, they're there. We don't see Skoda and Trabant either here. So there's that.
True.
But not only have you been involved in Fiats, you've been involved in the international auto shows,
Yes, I was.
or the American auto shows, I should say. One of my
It
favorite.
was actually international.
International,
I've been
yeah.
Done shows in
Nice.
Canada
Nice.
and elsewhere, other foreign.
I had a
countries.
great time in 2004, the Detroit Auto Show on Media Day, which was a great day to go because it wasn't crowded. And when I walked out of the bathroom, I'm standing side by side the captain, Roger Penske, and we talked for like 15 minutes, and he was the coolest guy ever. You know, I
Yeah.
love guys.
Well, 15 straight years I worked that show, all the press days,
Wow.
all the industry days, and all the public days. 15 straight years. And yeah, I spent my time talking with Mark Fields of Ford,
Right.
Carroll Shelby, you name it. I was very, very blessed to be. See, I inserted myself in the inner circle. I was just a guy. I spent 7 years.
did that a couple of
I spent 7 years representing Lexus,
Right.
and 9 years for the Lincoln Mercury division of Ford.
What years were you with Lexus?
I can't even remember when I started. Now it was 80. I started the year this generation 2 of the LS 400.
So that would have been 92, 91, 92. I had a Infinity.
Right. That was their counterpart for
Q50, and it was a 91, and I think they came out in 90. So Lexus would have been about 90 as well. So that probably was 93 or so that you were involved with.
Well, I was a product specialist / narrator. So when
Sure.
you walked into the shows and saw the people up there standing on the turntables doing the presentation and everything, well, that's what I did for
Sure.
but I was a little more than that. I didn't just memorize a script because I knew what I was talking about. You know, when I was done with the presentation, which I tweaked and embellished in my own, I would talk to consumers, I would talk to customers, but during the press and industry shows, I spent all the time I possibly could with engineers,
Sure.
designers, marketing people, to the point where they at first didn't want to talk to me because they
Right.
thought I was a spy.
Oh,
But I said, look, I signed a non-disclosure agreement every year to do this job. Talk to me. Well, what ended up is I got a good reputation among the engineers, designers, and what have you, where they would tell me things that they were not supposed to tell me.
Sure.
You know,
The
about
inside.
upcoming cars or even the guts of an engine. And when I would stand next to an engine cutaway and talk up to the engineer about, well, this here pintle coming in through this injector port here, and they'd look at me like, people like to do what you do aren't supposed to know this.
about stuff like that.
And I would get their confidence is my point, because I really wanted to know, and then I used my knowledge to embellish the things that I presented in a layman's way, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a good reputation, so whenever there was a concept car introduction in Detroit or Chicago, whenever there was a prototype of a upcoming vehicle, wherever, I was the guy for Lexus and then for Lincoln division.
Sure.
I was the guy that did all the product introductions, but because that time, knock on wood, I was very honored to have garnered a reputation of this guy just isn't a good presenter. He knows what he's talking about.
and a great brand ambassador for what you do. And what people don't realize
Yeah.
is the amount of money that the manufacturers spent on their displays at the Detroit Auto Show is staggering. I mean, $30 million for a
Dude.
display.
Let me tell you, of that 30 million, 2 or 3 million, and I know this because I knew the guys that did it and worked a lot. 2 or 3 million of that was just the labor cost just to set them up.
I mean, Ferrari had this glass steps up to a second level with food and drinks and the whole thing, and it was just the carpet and everything was just spectacular. Jeep had a waterfall that spelled out Jeep as it fell down.
Yes, it was computer controlled.
It was just absolutely
I had a lot of
amazing.
friends that worked for that company, used to go there and
Just
see that.
amazing. And of course, now we've got the Philly Auto Show coming up. It started today.
Yeah.
For those of you who happen to be listening in the mall and are listening today, is March the 5th. Is that right? Is today the 5th, Steve?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it is.
Gosh, I need help on mundane things. The Philly Auto Show is starting a little later than normal. They usually are in late January, but they're starting a little later than normal this year, and their footprint is a little smaller because they have some other events going on down there. Us, Classic Auto Mall, and the Antique Automobile Club of America are taking that whole second floor where Mercedes and Lexus were over the past probably 10 or 15 years, or however many years they've been doing it. So, but it's a slimmed down version. Now, Jeep still has their little drive thing that they do. Have you seen that? Have you been
yes.
to, yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Off hours, you know, because I knew everybody in every
Sure.
single exhibit and all the exhibit builders and stuff. So, I could spend hours before the show opened, like
Homecoming. Yeah.
messing around like that. And I did it all the time.
But you've also been involved in, well, lots of things, but some of the Concours d'Elegances, Radnor Hunt.
Radnor Hunt, I've been very much involved with I've lost count, not as long as it has been going on,
Sure.
but a good 10, 12, 15 years.
It's a great show. It
And
really
it's
is.
I will tell you, having been to Monterey and Pebble Beach on a number of occasions, it is as good. It may be on a smaller scale, but there are a lot of cars at the Radnor Hunt Concours outside of Philadelphia that came from Pebble Beach.
Sure, absolutely.
That have been shown in Pebble Beach or are on their way there. So it's as good as it can get.
It's a wonderful setting at the farm and I mean, it's just amazing. And they have the horse-drawn carriages that come through, and it's just well done. It's low key and laid back, but professionally run.
Which
I love.
Literally, I'm telling you, I've been to Concours and car shows or worked at them everywhere in the country, and it's as good as anything you'll find in the world, including Pebble Beach, on a bit of a smaller scale.
Sure.
So I can tell you that. It was like, for example, and they have other record setters, like the first Concours d'Elegance in the country that included motorcycles.
Right.
The
Which
first.
they're everywhere now,
Yeah.
every one
Yeah.
of them. We were just in Boca for their Concours, and it was motorcycles were included, and a big part of, not a big part of it, but a significant part of it, if you will. And the great thing about Radnor is it's right here in our backyard.
Yes,
so,
it is.
You don't have to. Monterey, the hotel bill in Monterey or in Boca is not a pleasant American Express bill that you
Monterey, you can't. You probably are already
Yeah, you're too late if
you want a room in Monterey.
Absolutely. If you don't get it a year ahead.
We stayed in Salvang, which is a little farm town outside of Monterey.
In a Motel 6, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's not unfortunately, but it's just the nature of that type of an event. Because what people may or may not realize is that not only is there the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, but there's 6 auctions, there's 10 other events, there's cruise-ins, there's car shows, there's parties, there's
That's
all
why
these
it's
things.
known in the auto enthusiast world as the weekend.
The weekend.
It is, because it is. It is the ultimate car weekend in the world, not just in North America, in the world.
No question. Every car guy, it's on their bucket list. If they haven't been, they want to go. And believe it or not, of all the things that I've done and been involved in, I've never been to the Monterey during that week. It always just something screws it up. I'm doing something or something's going on or just can't go. But you also did some television stuff as well too back in the day.
Yes,
didn't
I
you?
did. Well, I spent, I don't know how many seasons. I actually produced and hosted my own automotive television show,
Right.
which I called Auto Showcase. And it was regional in South Central Pennsylvania.
Right.
And
Focusing on new cars?
focusing on new cars. Well, a number of my programs, I used to have a segment on something special, like a vintage car or something. But what I did was I would do new car introductions, but I would shoot them. I would do the introductions and do walkarounds, if you will, and talk about the features and all that stuff. But I would shoot it in car showrooms of my participating dealers. So they got the advantage of all this exposure.
Right.
I wasn't pitching the car per se, but the fact that I was in this Nissan dealer or this whatever dealer it was, and I always interviewed, open and close, one of their salespeople. So they got airtime as well and everything. So I did it for 7 seasons. And in television, if you get renewed even once, it's considered a success. So knock on wood, I had fun with that too.
And when we come back, we'll spin the third segment. If Bob wants to stick around for one more segment, we'll do our third segment with Bobb Rayner, our lifelong auto enthusiast.
Like a valve, I'm sticking.
We'll be back in a minute.